Hey, this is Jeff Rose, Good Financial Sense and SoldierOfFinance.com with another awesome interview with another awesome guest. My guest today is Philip Tirone, who is what I would call a credit score expert, master, ninja, call it what you will. I'm a financial planner and I help a lot of people with investing and financial planning, but when it comes to credit scores, I am basically, for lack of a better term, ignorant. And I actually had a blog post that I wrote about my experience trying to find my true credit score. And I was amazed at all the dead ends I ran into. Luckily, Phil here was able to shed some light on that situation and kind of help me along. And I just want to introduce Phil today as being that credit score expert. And for any of you that are kind of the same situation I'm in, trying to understand your credit, hopefully we can learn a lot by some of Phil's expertise today. So Phil, how you doing today?
Great. I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Okay. I first want to just kind of kick it off. And for those that really don't know you, first kind of introduce yourself, how you kind of stumbled upon your own credit score, credit pass, and what that kind of has got you today.
Yeah. Well, it all started in the late 90s. I walked into a bank one day and I was depositing a check. And the teller said to me, Mr. Tyrone, you're overdrawn your checking account. And, it's embarrassing to hear, okay. And I just didn't know really where to go with it. And she said, but, Mr. Tyrone, you can apply for overdraft protection, $100 overdraft protection line. We approve everybody. And I'm like, sure, do it. And so she ran my credit. And she said, I'm sorry, we can't approve you. Your credit score is too low. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa. The first thing was embarrassing. This is like really embarrassing. And the thing is, Jeff, is I knew how important a credit score was. I was in the mortgage business at the time, right? I did loans for people. I saw how they overpaid based on their credit score. So at that moment, I looked at my credit score and I said, gosh, what am I overpaying on my mortgage? And I looked at it, and if I raised my credit score to, at that time it was 720, I could refinance my home and save somewhere between $500 and $600 a month. Okay, I mean, it's just staggering,
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing.
So I said, I'm going to figure this out. And I bought every book I could. I called the credit bureaus. I called my credit card companies. I called the banks. Tried to get as much information as you can. And just like you said, there's roadblock after roadblock after roadblock and road after roadblock. And what I learned after doing this for so long, it's such a conflict of interest of what's going on here. Okay, you go to your bank and ask how to raise your credit score. They're not going to tell you. Okay, they don't educate their people, I should say. It's not like, I don't believe maliciously they're trying to hold back information, but I know they don't not aggressively educate their people on how to raise their credit score because it impacts their profitability. You refinance, you get lower interest rates, et cetera, et cetera. So, long story short, though, is after going to the banks and using my credit as the guinea pig, I really figured out how to raise a credit score, and it's not hard at all. And I came out with a book and I basically used it as a credit card, or excuse me, I used it as a business card to get more loan business. I said, hey, I'll help you raise your credit score and then do the loan with me. And that's how it started. And now, I mean, I focus on credit all the time.
Wow, that's cool. And
Yeah.
you just mentioned about like with the banks and like a lot of the mortgage lenders out there, and I think you had a video where you actually went into a bank and asking, I think it was a bank lender, I think, some questions
Yeah.
about the credit score.
Yeah.
I'll have a link to that video because I think it's cool because that lender he really didn't know anything, and he tried to kind of fill in some gaps with basically some information that was completely wrong. And it's funny because I had a very similar experience with my own my own mortgage lender here in the area when we were going to build our first home, and I asked him some
Yeah. Yeah.
questions regarding credit score, and he really had no clue. He
Oh,
tried to
yeah.
pretend that he knew what he was talking about, but at the end of the day, and I don't think it was done maliciously, but I just think that
Yeah.
the
Right.
information is not easily found out there.
Without a question. And I took that spy camera into four different banks. Four different banks said the same exact, I mean, just basically all different information, right? I know what impacts a credit score now. I look at tens of thousands of credit reports. Like, I know. And these poor guys are just, they were clueless. And, like I said, it's not their fault. They're trying to do their job. The banks don't educate them. I mean, I've put together whole programs, sent it to executives at banks and said, hey, look at what you could do for your clients. and I don't. I get crickets. I mean, and then I realized, then it hit me. You know, one thing about me, Jeff, I'm a little slow. Like I don't. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get to figure it out. And I realized, oh, I got it. What? Why would they do it? You know, and there's just that disconnect, which is what it is, and that's why I'm convinced we need to educate the American people on how to step up for themselves, or else their bank's just going to rob them. I mean, it's literally a form of legal robbery, in my opinion. It's how banks legally rob, and it's completely unfair. And I mean, you know, absolutely reforms needed, but it is what it is. I mean, you're dealing with a huge bureaucratic political beast that I've tried to change. I've offered to give books away to everyone. I mean, I wrote the president, I said when he got into office, because he was big into the entrepreneur. He said, you know, the entrepreneur is going to save us. And he still probably is. I just didn't hear back from him. I wrote him and I said, Mr. President, I've got the way to save hundreds of dollars a month. I mean, 80% of Americans, 80, have an error on their credit report. 80%. If we just solve those errors, the average person will save hundreds a month. Just solve the errors. Forget everything else.
Yeah.
I said I'll give my book away to anyone. We'll create digital programs. We'll just get it out to the masses. And but the idea wasn't good enough. I don't know why. I thought it was a good idea, but whatever. You know.
No, Phil, you know, I've been able to, you know, you sent me a copy of your book and some of your manuals, and you know, one thing you just mentioned was, you know, 80% of the U.S. population having an error on their credit report, how much that could save them if they just realized that. What are some other common things that, you know, all the programs that you've gone through, all the people that you've helped over the years, what are some kind of quick fixes that a lot of people don't realize that they can implement like right away?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you need 3 to 5 credit cards. You absolutely need 3 to 5 credit cards. I mean, there's people that say, I only have one, it's all I need. And here's the problem with it. Credit is about building roots, and deep, deep, deep roots. If you don't have deep roots, when one of those errors come on your credit report, it's gonna drop your score down much farther than it should. So that's why you need 3 to 5 credit cards. Now, there's a caveat here. There's some credit cards that help your credit scores and some credit cards that hurt your credit scores. I'll explain that just in a second. But so if you just go out and get a credit card, that could have no impact on your credit score, or could be having a negative impact on your credit score. So you need to know which credit cards are the right credit cards to get.
Wow,
you know?
Okay.
And I can give you that link, and we can put it on the blog post about.
Sure.
We've gone through, you know, sites on, till we know which credit cards we recommend to our clients, which ones we don't.
Okay.
Because you just go to creditcards.com and you pick whatever credit card, that could have a negative impact. Let me explain why. See, the problem with credit cards is they don't all report the proper information, okay? And here is why they don't report the proper information. According to credit bureaus, credit card companies do not have to report information to credit bureaus. They choose to do it. And when they choose to do it, they have to pay to report, okay? So the credit card companies or your banks and stuff like that, they pay to report to the bureaus, right? Because of that, they report certain information. The bureaus are just a reporting agency. They just report what they report. And one of the things we talk about in our book, and this comes from a Federal Reserve Board study, 46% of the credit cards that you have in your wallet do not report the proper credit limits to the bureaus. So just think about that. 46% do not report the proper credit limits to the bureaus. And here's the problem with that. Assume you have a $1,000 credit limit, okay? And every month you pay your electricity bill on it that's $100, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if the credit card company is not reporting the proper limit, and many times they report zero limit, when your credit report is run by your mortgage bank, your credit card company, your card business, or even your insurance company or your future employer, the algorithm of the credit scoring system looks at your credit limit compared to your balance. So on that limit, that should be a $1,000 limit, $100 bill, that's a 10% utilization. But if the credit limit is not being shown, it's showing zero credit limit, $100 balance, that's negative utilization. You're maxed out. That could have a 10, 20, 30 point impact on your credit score, depending on what other stuff you have.
Wow.
I mean, just help me out here. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, they just like makes no sense. And that's the thing. I'm a real common sense type guy. That's just how I operate.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that are just unfair. And that is unfair because nobody knows this. Like, nobody knows this. They're just they think to themselves, "Are you kidding me? Like, how could this possibly be real? This is the way it works."
I was one of those that had no idea. I know I've heard about the utilization ratio, and I get that aspect of it, but had no idea about the reporting of the limits and the error of the limits. I mean, that it makes a lot of sense, but I mean, why that could hurt somebody's score doesn't make a lot of sense. Why that's the way that it is.
I mean, Jeff, it makes no sense. And that's why I have people that sign up for my program. And we've had some people have 100, 120 point impacts in 30 days. Literally, they have a 100 or 120 point swing in their credit report in 30 days. And it's because they have 2 or 3 credit cards that aren't reporting the proper limits.
Wow.
I mean, it just drives me crazy. And here's the hard part about that. When they don't report the proper limit, it impacts your credit score, which has a direct impact on how much you are going to overpay each and every month. Okay, and like I said, it impacts obviously your mortgage. Okay, I mean, if you had 2 brothers buying the same exact house, same exact location, same street, same everything. They had the same income, same debt, but one has a 720 credit score and one has a 719 credit score. They're buying a $300,000 home with an FHA loan. That one with a 719 credit score, assuming he's going to put like 10% down, he needs mortgage insurance. He's going to overpay $4,500 in fees because of that 1 point. 1 point. So, I mean, it impacts your mortgage, impacts your car, impacts your credit cards, impacts any other loans you have, impacts your car insurance, your home insurance in certain states, right? Impacts whether you're going to get a job. Inc. Inc. 500. Inc. magazine came out and said that 61% of employers are running a credit report before they hire you. I mean, it's just like, I really think that this is the lowest hanging fruit for anyone in the financial world. Anyone in the financial world. And I just can't be more passionate about it. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm up on top of the mountain singing or yelling and no one's hearing, because it's just like, you would think that you get this information to the right politicians, laws would be changed.
But nothing.
I'm just waiting for you to run for office, okay?
Yeah. Well, that's great. Dude, I think that's to my audience and everybody that watches this. I mean, that little nugget is worth, hundreds a month, could be thousands a year over the course of their lifetime. That's huge.
Oh, I got tons of them. Okay, so let me tell you this. Everyone, not, I don't want to say everyone, but majority of people, 75, 80% of people, have some type of collection on their credit report, okay? And it's not because you didn't pay your bills. It's because, I recently moved to Scottsdale from California, okay? I sent in a change of address form to the Department of Water, my water service company in LA. They wrote down the wrong address. So what happens? I didn't know I had this $500 bill for water, and they sent me to collections. I get the collection letter. Thank God I know how to handle this stuff, because guess what? That one collection would have impacted my credit score 50, 60, 70 points.
Right.
I mean, and so the thing is one of the things we talk about in the program is make sure you negotiate before you pay any bill in collections. And that's what I did with this collection company. I looked at them and I said, I see. So what we do, we take people through a process of validating their debt and then negotiating. See, what happens is with these collection companies, they sell so many different times. So this collection company sells to this company, this company sells to this company. Many times the information gets skewed and lost. So we need them to validate the debt so we can get the information from the credit card company, from the collection company, so we know, wow, they got my wrong phone number, they got my wrong address, they got all this wrong stuff. So then we come from a power of negotiation. Mm-hmm. So in my course, the 14-Day Credit Challenge, we talk about all this information. We give you the actual letters to send for the credit limits, for the bureaus, for the collection companies, all that stuff, so that you are put in control. Because the reality is no one teaches this information. I mean, you can't go to your bank, like we said. You can't go anywhere to get it. You got to find credible sources. And the sad thing is if you go to the books in the bookstore. We printed a book, and the problem was we just kept on going out of date. It wasn't relevant.
Yeah.
So now we keep everything online, and basically with the 14-day credit challenge, we send people an email once a week. It's once a week for 14 weeks. We call it 14 days because it takes one, we send you one video per day for 14 weeks.
Okay.
And the videos are 5 to 10 minutes long, gives you exactly the nugget you need to learn, and then it gives you 5 to 10 minutes of things you need to do if this applies to you. So at most, the person's spending 20 minutes a week. At most, 20 minutes a week to learn about this, to learn about their credit for 14 weeks. Most people spend, 8 to 10 of in most cases, 8 to 10 of the weeks are applicable. And for this, Jeff, we have a free webinar that we can put on your link, on the blog post, where people can hear. I literally give a 55-minute webinar explaining our challenge, and they can sign up for it. We have the webinars once every Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely have that information for our viewers. Can you kind of maybe share just maybe a success story of someone that's gone through it? I guess here pretty recently that maybe it seemed like a minor thing, but made such a big impact on their life. Now that they understand their credit. Anything that comes to mind?
Oh my! I just have so many success stories. I don't even know where to begin. Jimmy Ockbach from Indianapolis, Indiana. He was bankrupt and divorced, and never thought he'd be financially free. He was in a rough space. And one of the things we talk about is, I don't care if you had a bankruptcy yesterday, I can get your credit score over 720, over 750. 8 to 9 years before that bankruptcy falls off your credit report. Think about that. You had a bankruptcy, you can have your credit score up 700, 720, 750, 8 to 9 years before that bankruptcy falls off your credit report. Because how I believe, what my belief system is, and it's a lot different than typical credit repair companies. Credit repair companies typically say, hey Jeff, you got that problem with their Ford account? Let me get that off. I know someone at Ford. So you're subject to their relationship, getting that error off your credit report. If that error doesn't come off your credit report, or that negative mark, then you can't recover. See, I believe completely different. According to the FCC and according to federal laws, if something happened to your credit report, it happened. You can't get it off legally. I don't want to break any laws. That's just not my gig. What I teach people how to do is build their credit around those issues. So it doesn't matter. Your bank wants you to think, if you had a bankruptcy, you're out to lunch for 10 years. Good luck. That's not the case. So Jimmy Ockbach, he got our program. He went from 540, if I recall, 540 to 735. This is with the bankruptcy on his credit report.
Wow.
I have another example, Tal Rabinowitz, okay? Executive from Sony. I did all her loans. She called me one day and she said, Phil, I got a problem with something's going on with my credit report. We ran her credit report, and there was one error. She always had 750 plus credit scores. One error on her credit report that had caused, it was something like 750 to 580. It was a huge drop. One error. It took us months to get that thing off, right? And but when we got it off, her credit score just popped, and she was able to refinance. So when her credit score was low, the reason why she realized it is because she was refinancing, certain debt, like her car and different stuff like that. So she was forced to get into things that she couldn't afford. When you have a 580 credit score and you're getting a car, you're paying like crazy. Yeah. When you're doing actually one of the other reasons why her other loans, she was doing investment property, so she had to do a 1031 exchange. So she had to get another mortgage loan with that credit score really high. So she ended up saving, when she refinanced those two things, like $900 a month. Wow. It was just staggering. But I talked to a guy I was in Ottawa last week, and I was talking to a guy on the cell, and he said, Phil, my score went from 620 to 732 in 30 days. Yeah. If you know the information, it works.
Right. Wow. That's great. I think for anyone that has in that situation where they have a low credit score and have nowhere to go. I mean, your program is one of the few ones I've seen out there that actually will educate them and walk them through it. And I mean, you got some pretty bold claims on your site, but what it sounds like is that you've also got some case studies to back that up as well. So that's great.
Oh yeah. Oh, it works. I mean, I know it works. I mean, matter of fact, my guarantee is if you don't save $1,000 the first year, you can have all your money back. That's my guarantee. Okay. And the credit guarantee is if your credit score isn't where you want it to be in a year, you can have all your money back. I mean, that's how confident I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know because we've had over 10,000 people go through our program.
Right.
So because we've had that many people, I just understand how the system works so well, and that's what's happening. So I'm pretty confident about it, and I'm just grateful to be able to tell the story.
Yeah, that's great, man. And we're also going to have links to Phil's blog here. I know he's got a lot of great resources there. Also have a link to the webinar. So basically, the link then is just to show them the next available live webinar that they can attend. Is that correct?
Yeah, they sign up for the webinar, and and basically they'll be invited to the webinar, and whenever the times are and stuff like that. It's all on the website.
Okay. I think also too, if you will agree to this, I might have some readers that might have some questions regarding their credit score. So maybe we can post those as well. Maybe get those answered in the blog post on here. So that way, just to really, really show people how much they do need to go through your program to boost their credit score and whatnot.
Whatever I can do, Jeff, to support you. I love what you're doing. I love your information, and as I've told you, I just can't wait for you to come out with your product so we can, after people finish the credit scoring process, they need a financial education process.
Right.
And there's one person I'm turning to, and that's you. I mean, I love your blog. I love what you're doing. I love your book, and so I want to support you any way I can.
Right. And just so everybody knows, I did not pay Phil to say that, so
Yeah,
that was completely unsolicited. Hey, Phil, I appreciate your time here, and I definitely appreciate the nuggets of information. I actually learned a lot today, and I'm sure a lot of people did too. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
See you, Jeff.
Bye.